Hey everyone, Mark here for the Gun Guy channel. Welcome back. Hope you have been enjoying our content. If you have, if you could do us a favor, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. But as we've been producing more and more content, it occurred to me that we haven't done any revolvers, which is kind of strange since our logo is two revolvers, and honestly, revolvers are what I really had an initial interest in when I got to shooting as an adult.
6-shooter, huh? A lot of old timers carry those.
As a kid, I shot a 22 semi-automatic pretty regularly, but then had a long break and picked up shooting again as an adult. And honestly, I was shooting principally revolvers because that was my comfort level. And I think a revolver is a really good gun for people who are interested in starting to get involved in shooting, in a shooting sport. And the reason is it's pretty easy to operate, but it's kind of difficult to master, I think more so than a semi-automatic. A semi-automatic, on the other hand, seems a lot more complicated. You have a magazine, and you may have a safety, and you got a racket, and but it's a lot easier to shoot once you get it set up. So with that being said, let's take a look at a gun that was on our top 5 concealed carries and our top 5 guns under $300, and that is the Taurus 856 chambered in 38 Special Plus P. We're going to take a look at the gun now. All right, so here we have the Taurus. This is the 856. This model comes in both stainless steel, matte, which this one is, and a black matte finish. There's also an ultralight version of this gun, which I do not recommend and do not like. I find it a very snappy, jumpy gun to shoot. But we'll get into that in a bit, and we'll take a look at this, and we'll compare it to another ultralight that most of you might think is actually a better gun, and yet I still prefer this one. So let's take a look at it. This gun I've had for a while, and it's pretty much right out of the box. It is empty, so that is how you clear and check a revolver. You press the thumb piece forward and it releases. On most revolvers, I think Colt's the only one that you actually have to pull back. No modifications at this point, with the exception of the front sight. So let's start there. The front sight that comes with the gun is just a simple black notch type of sight. With these small little pocket pistol revolvers, it's very hard for me to get a good sight picture. So Taurus actually has this sight replacement. It's a pin sight. You need a 1/16th punch, or at least that's what they say, but I'll tell you the truth, the 1/16th punch sticks in there. So I would go down one size to get the pin through. But I bought this replacement sight from Taurus directly, and honestly works great. The rear sights are fixed, and if you can see, and again, it's kind of, I've yet to get used to doing this for the camera without sticking my head in front of it. But with the fixed sights, I think the orange front sight really helps me stay on target with this. The thumb piece here is how you release the cylinder. You push it forward, as you do kind of with most revolvers, Ruger, Smith. I think Colt's the only one that you pull. And it's not bad. It feels, pretty straightforward. It's got a shrouded ejector rod, which is a nice feature. You don't want to get that caught. The trigger guard is reasonable, as you can see. I got a boo-boo, but the finger still fits in there pretty easily. The hammer has some nice checkering on it, and that's actually helpful so that you can keep your grip on it. It does hold 6. Which is nice. Some of the smaller pocket carries hold 5. This is chambered in 38 Special. So a lot of these other pocket revolvers will come in 357, even the ultralight. So Smith, Ruger, they have an ultralight that's 357. Honestly, I have no idea why someone would shoot an ultralight snub nose 357. And a lot of people will say because the 357 has significantly more stopping power than a 38 Special. That's true in a longer barrel. In a short barrel, particularly one like this that's 2 inches or under 2 inches, the 357 loses a lot of that velocity. With the 38 Special defensive rounds that are now available, I think that's a better choice. That's just a personal choice. And I can control the gun better, get on target quicker. So those factors make me opt to do 38 Special over 357. In regard to this gun, here the ejector rod is right there, and it's working okay. You know, this gun's pretty dirty, so it's not spinning quite as free, and as you can tell, it's got quite a bit of burn marks on it. So we're gonna try and clean that up. And honestly, it's so dirty, we may even do a quick little bit about how to remove this cylinder to make it easier to clean. This gun is also drop safe, which means it has a transfer bar, which I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but that's the transfer bar. Back in the days of 6 shooters, cowboys, etc., they would actually only have 5 shots. And what they would do in the 6th shot is they would carry a rolled up $10 bill. And they would put it in that particular chamber so that if they dropped the gun, it wouldn't accidentally discharge. And that was actually called their bury-in money in case they lost a gunfight, I guess. This has a transfer bar, so it is completely drop safe. This side, again, is pretty innocuous. This is the screw that we would remove to take out the cylinder if we wanted. And really the only critique I have about this is that I would prefer if they had 38 Special plus piece somewhere on this gun. The grip is actually pretty nice. I can get 2 fingers on this, and I really like this ridge. It's rubber. It gives me a nice place to put my thumb. And so when I shoot, I keep my fingers down here, right? So you definitely don't want your hand anywhere near the front of this chamber when you're shooting, because that's where a lot of the gas comes out. And you will definitely hurt yourself if you do that. We can go over the dimensions of the gun right now. So as I said, it has 6 rounds. And it's a double action, single action. So what does that mean? That means that if we want to shoot it when the hammer is down, we can pull, and that is a double action. If we want a much lighter, crisper trigger, we can cock it, and boom, it's a super light trigger. If you have the opportunity to do that, you can be far more accurate, in my opinion, or at least I shouldn't say you can, I can be far more accurate if I'm shooting single action. People sometimes say, well, that slows you down. I will tell you, I compete in a cowboy action league, and those are only single action pistols. And some of the people who have practiced in shooting that, they can shoot a single action revolver quicker than most people can fire a semi-automatic weapon. So it's just a matter of practicing and learning how to thumb and shoot, right? Something to practice if you want. The barrel on this particular gun is 2 inches. The overall length is 6.55 inches. The height, so from here to here, is about 4.8 inches, and the weight is 22 ounces. Now that may seem heavy compared to some of the ultralight carries, which are you know, floating around 11 ounces. It's one of the reasons I like this gun, because the extra weight really helps the muzzle flip and the recoil. And that's why I would probably prefer this to an ultralight 9 out of 10 times, unless it's summer and I'm wearing shorts. Now let's take a quick peek, since we kind of explained double, single. Let's see what the different trigger pull weights are at both double and single action on this gun. We got 8, 2, 1. 715. and 815. All right, so let's call it an 8-pound double action, which is not horrible at all, okay? Let's take it to single. 3.1. 1.142. 1.155. Again, the difference between the double and the single, particularly on this gun, is marked. It honestly does not have a terribly nice double action trigger. You can get used to it, and I guess that's a good point for us to start comparing this gun to a much more expensive gun. So let's take a look at, this is the Ruger LCRx. And the difference between the LCR and the LCRx is the hammer. This gun is much, much, much lighter than the Taurus. Outside of that, this is also chambered in 38 special plus P. So this one is a plus P, not a 357. It only holds 5. Okay, and to that end, it is a narrower gun than this one. I believe this comes in at 1 inch, 1.41 roughly, and if you can see, it's a lot thinner gun, so it would be easier to carry, pocket carry. However, and it's also lighter. This is 11 ounces. This is half what this weighs. I have much more trouble shooting this Ruger, especially double action. And I will tell you, as we sit here with the empty chamber, right? And this trigger is much smoother than this trigger. Now in single action, there's not much difference, but double action for sure, the quality of this trigger would be superior to the quality of this trigger. And what we'll do is I shot them side by side, and you'll see when I'm shooting double action, I'm more accurate with the Taurus, and I think principally because the muzzle flip on this gun is much less than the muzzle flip on this gun. So trying to pull double action and keep on target is easier, for me at least, with this. Also, you can buy 2 of these for the price of 1 of these. I think this gun is now retailing somewhere close to $800, so $760. I did not pay that for this. I like it. I don't know if I would have liked it that much, but this gun you could literally buy 2. Does the Ruger LCR have a purpose? Yeah, it does. If I was carrying revolvers and it was summer and I was wearing some super light shorts, this would probably be an easier gun to carry. You could put this in a pocket and forget about it literally all day. You do lose 1 shot. So the capacity on this gun is 1 higher. And at least for me, I lose some accuracy with the double action. The single action, honestly, if I practiced a little more with this gun, it would be about the same. Also, I changed the sights out. So this sight picture is much, much easier for me to see. If you can see the back of the Taurus, the rear sights, I think it's much easier to get a good, clean sight picture than it is with the Ruger. I do love Rugers, by the way, so I don't mean to just, I have the Caros, I have the Match Champion, I love Ruger revolvers, but for this particular purpose, if I was doing an everyday carry when it's not 104 in July, the Taurus is going to win that matchup 9 out of 10 times, in my opinion. So, with that being said, let's get to some cleaning of a very, very dirty gun. So, like I said, this gun is really pretty dirty, even to the point where I'd consider taking the cylinder out. but we'll see if we have to. By the way, this is my own way of cleaning revolvers that I developed over the years. I am not sure if it's the right way. You know, you may be seeing this green thing going, what is that? This is a dish scrubbing pad, and I use that principally on this side of most of my revolvers to get this clean. I find that it does not really scratch the gun at all. Particularly, this is a steel, steel gun. This is not steel. So the steel should win every time against this green. So if you're gonna send me some hate mail, I guess you can, but try to be nice. All right, so we are going to start, since this gun is so filthy, by just dousing it in some cleaner and really letting it go to town. All right, so we are going to take, and I always start with the individual chambers on the cylinder and really just let them get good and coated. And you can see that's actually picking up a lot of dirt. We'll take it, go into the actual barrel, let that get it, and don't know if you can see, but this part always on every revolver just gets coated in carbon and burn. And so not only are you dealing with some of the just carbon on this, but there's also powder burn on the gun. So yeah, we're going to clean this part where the firing pin is, and again, just that's actually coming off. But if you can see in this little nook right up here, that part for some reason also seems to just always get terribly dirty. The back carbon and powder though seems to come off pretty easy. The front, not so much. All right. So we're gonna let that soak in a bit. Go in here where the ejector rod goes. And again, I like to just literally coat the gun with cleaner. That is honestly, I think, the worst part about shooting revolvers. They are, in my opinion, much more of a pain in the butt to clean than semi-automatics. Get that. You can kind of tell just by putting it on, it's starting to clean up a bit. All right, so we're going to let that work. And we're going to take a brass brush and go through. Again, people will always say you have to go this way, go in the direction the barrel comes or the bullet comes out. Yeah, I guess. I don't think it's all that important. I think these guns, regardless, are going to probably outlive most of us. So I just do this. All right. In regard to the barrel, I'm going to come through, and you can see right at the crown that's pretty dirty. So we're gonna, and you do want to pay a bit of attention to that area because it can throw the bullet off course, or at least that's what I'm told. I don't shoot close enough to the bullseye to worry about that, but if you shoot better than I, which is not all that challenging, you might care about that. All right, that's looking better. Again, we're going to do that. Now, rather than go right to putting patches through the different chambers, I'm going to wait because to get this stuff off, it is usually quite a bit of a challenge, right? So if I just take a patch, and I normally don't do this because it doesn't do much, but if I just take a patch, I'm trying to rub this off, right? Getting some of the carbon off, but I'm certainly not getting some of that burn off, right? Or the hard carbon. Same with right here at this end of the barrel. Okay. So it's soaking, but it's not doing much. So we can try with a toothbrush, and I'm trying to give you guys an angle on it. The toothbrush is certainly gonna help. Right, so if you can see that is really cleaning that up, decently. But the reality is still kind of dirty. So we can take another patch. Oops. And just let that solvent soak some more. Right. Get some on there. While that's soaking, we're going to go here. And this, as a rule, does not do much, right? So, not doing much there. Also, do a quick cleaning there. Around the extractor. Okay. And, oops, don't want any fuzz. All right, so to get rid of this, the solution that I have is literally the dish scrubber. I've done this on my guns. I'd be curious if you've tried this, if you have an opinion on it, please put it in the comments. But for me, at least, you'll see this works pretty darn good, right? So I'm going to put this down for a second. I'm going to get a good dose of solvent on here. And I'm going to do a spit shine on this side of the barrel. And you can see it's coming up nice. Now it's also tearing up my pad. So to that extent, I'd rather have the 3-cent pad being torn up than the, I don't know, $250 gun in this case. All right, so we're going to put that down again. And this is always, at least in my experience, this is the hardest part of the revolver to clean. So, but this does, you can see it's doing its job. But that's one of the reasons we're not running the patch through, right? Because we got nothing but cleanser going through, and you can see it's coming good. All right, so switch to this corner now. There we go. All right, so that is markedly better, right? Hopefully you can see that. We're going to go in here. It's a little tougher in here. but we're just going to try and get as much of that powder off as we can right there. Now the hard part is right between the barrel and the top rail. And again, this is too big to get in there, so you kind of have to use a scrub brush. I will be completely honest and say when I am frustrated and getting tired of cleaning this, I will use this brass brush and get in there, and I'm relatively sure that is not the purpose or the proper use of that. All right. You know what? We are pretty good, okay? So there we go. So now that we have this completely coated, let's take a rag and wipe some of this off so that we don't have quite as much goop that we are dealing with. And we should probably get right here as well a little bit. As I said, the firing pin area and where the lock is, that came pretty clean just from the patches. This area also, you know, much better. So take a patch, let's wipe this down. All right. Just gonna get in there. Sometimes with the little nooks, right? This is where the chamber locks, right? You can also use a pick and wrap it and get in there. All right. All right. Let's move this out of our way. Clean up some of this goop. And let's run some patches through and see how dirty or clean we're at. All right. The other kind of tricky part is remembering what chamber you're on. So I always go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and pretty dirty still. So take this brush. Let's go through it one more time. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The other thing that I find helpful when I'm cleaning the individual chambers is if the one that I'm working on is in the 12 o'clock position. That way I kind of know which one I've done, which one I haven't, and I always try to go counterclockwise when I'm doing it. All right. Let's run another patch through, see if that helped us at all. Again, this gun was so dirty. Yep, it's still pretty dirty. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And still a dirty patch. All right. We will be having an intermission soon to refill our patches. And honestly, we might just skip ahead if I have to keep doing this for the next 20 minutes, unless you just want to meditate while I'm doing this. All right, so not bad, not bad. 2, oh goodness, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what? We should probably do one more. But that's getting there, okay? That is for sure getting there. Oop. All right, that's pretty good. 5, 6. You know what? We're going to call that good enough for government work. You're going to go to the barrel, and that's pretty dirty too, right? Take that, and with some clean patches. And go through again. And not bad. Like I said, this gun was really pretty dirty. I am bad at cleaning my revolvers. I don't usually clean them as often as I probably should. The semis will usually get cleaned every shooting, every time I run a couple hundred rounds through it. The handguns, the revolvers, on the other hand, they don't get the attention that they probably should. It's, I guess it's a discrimination thing, so if you're a woke gun owner, please don't hate me or cancel me. All right, let's go through that. All right, we'll take it. So, again, we just want to pay particular attention to this area, make sure it's clean, and it does look pretty clean. If it matters to you, I think the twist on this barrel is 1/16. All right. Let's clean the exterior a little bit more, make sure we get all the carbon that we've cleaned off all these various areas. All right, we're going to take our rag, give this a quick once over again. And I don't know if you can tell, but it seems like this is spinning much better than it was when we started. So that's part of the purpose of this. Now, if you wanted, you could certainly put a drop of oil in each chamber, and you know what, we'll do that. I think I'm going to be shooting this gun again relatively soon, but we'll go ahead and do that just because. And you want to just make sure you get around here as best you can. So in regard to, and then also, we're going to get in here. I'm going to take a Q-tip. Just let's get that area cleaned out too, right? A little bit, nothing terrible. All right. So now, as I said, in regard to oiling this particular gun, you don't necessarily need to do the hammer, but some people do put a drop down here. I am going to not do that for right now because it seems to be going okay. And let's open this again. And it looks like there's, so if you've noticed right here, because this is a pivot point, right? There is definitely some solvent that is dirty that has gotten into this area, right? So you know what, this is a perfect time to do this. So what we'll do is we'll talk about, since you want to get in there and clean, because it hasn't been cleaned in a while. Sometimes you need to remove your cylinder from the gun. And as a general rule, there is a screw right here, and there is a faceplate screw, one or two at least. It's this way on most guns. The Ruger, honestly, I don't know where the screw is to remove it. But if I wanted to remove the faceplate and do a complete strip, I would have to take the grip off. And I think there's one or two screws here. But for right now, just take this. All right. You want to be careful when you're doing this so that you don't strip or over tighten this screw, right? So we're going to go in here. I think that's the right side. There we go. And you're just going to take this one little screw out, and we're going to make a very special space for it so we don't lose it. Okay. Right over here. Now once this is out, and there's the spring. So we're going to put that back in. Or hopefully we're going to try. All right, so you can see there's this piece is what actually holds the cylinder in place, and it's on a spring. And so you don't want to over tighten it, you just want it hand tight. Once that's done, you can remove this, okay? And this is pretty dirty. That's the reason that I did that. So we're going to clean this real quick. You don't have to do this every time, but since we were getting into the nitty-gritties of this, we might as well, right? And there is that pin, which we also want to make sure we don't lose, okay? So this is actually what will hold this in place. This screw goes right in there and keeps it in, all right? So we're going to carefully place that over there. And if you can see, it's pretty dirty. So for this, just so that we don't have a bunch seeping down into here, and take this. Just be kind of careful how we're cleaning it. But you can see that was kind of dirty. And since this is one of the joints where there's metal on metal, when we put it back together, we're going to go ahead, put a drop of lubricant there. All right. Get that. All right. So, like I said, it's a relatively easy way to take the cylinder out, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people actually don't know that that's where you go to get the cylinder out. I am, because of the double action on this, I ordered some springs, and I think we might do a video to replace them. The springs, there's a hammer spring, trigger spring, and that's what sets the poundage on this. And let's see, there we go. Put that back in. I believe. Whoops. Nuts. I am. Well, while we're here, let's get that clean because it's much easier to manipulate too. And it's dirty. All right. Oops. All right. So we're going to take this, going to feed that into there. I'm going to take 1 drop of lubricant on a Q-tip. We're going to put that right in that area. All right, now, and again, y'all will have to forgive me. I am perhaps one of the worst gunsmiths on the planet, but it slides in relatively straightforward and easy. All right, and we're going to close it. We're going to go to this side, and I'm going to, since this pin, and I'm not sure of the technical name for that, and the screw is bobbin, we're going to put it in on its side. There we go. And just tighten it to the point where it's kind of hand tight. Nothing too terrible. We don't want to torque it. If you over tighten this screw, you'll be able to tell, because this will not open and close easily, right? So if it's very difficult to open and close, you've over tightened that screw. All right, so now that we did that, we got our lubricated this area. Put 1 more drop in there just because. And let's open and close it a couple of times. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the extractor area. You can put 1 drop on that, boop, and then we're going to let it close. Spin it and push this in and out while we're spinning it, just to get that oil worked in there, okay? And again, it's spinning, I don't know if you guys remember, but much easier than it was at the beginning. Closing, opens well. We're going to check the hammer, boom, double action's working. And that is how you clean an incredibly dirty Taurus 856. Hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, if you didn't like something, please comment. If you liked it, please subscribe, thumbs up, and see you next time.